When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Congress blocked states from kicking people off Medicaid, which provides medical care to some people who are disabled or who have little to no income. But now that the public health emergency has been declared over, states can once again deny care to those making too much money to qualify, moving to different states, or receiving health care from their employer. But millions of Americans have been kicked off by mistake, as ABC's senior congressional correspondent Rachel Scott reports in the latest installment of Through the Cracks.
For 5-year-old Penelope, appointments like these have become all too familiar. She's had more visits to the hospital than birthdays. Her mother, Jillian, by her side every step of the way. Penelope was born with classic galactosemia, a rare genetic metabolic disorder that can cause lifelong health complications.
I would spend every dollar if I had to make sure she was okay, because she's just such a fighter.
For this Florida family, Medicaid is their lifeline, reducing the cost of Penelope's medications.
I'm so grateful for Medicaid because of
we couldn't do it.
We couldn't do it.
It would be impossible.
Jillian and her husband say they found out their daughter had unexpectedly lost her coverage.
What was going through your mind?
I was crying all day. It was just so overwhelming. It's so defeating. I'm her caretaker, and I felt like a bad mom.
Do you know why Penelope was kicked off of her coverage?
Ultimately, I don't. They didn't even tell me that it was dropped.
During the pandemic, Congress stopped states from reviewing their roles in kicking Americans off Medicaid. But the process started up again in April, with at least 33 states and the District of Columbia starting disenrollments. Since then, at least 3 million Americans have lost coverage. Daniel Tsai oversees the program in Washington at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services.
7 million people who are eligible to receive Medicaid could still actually lose their coverage. Why is that happening?
We know and have estimated that roughly half of that 15 million will be people that are still eligible and lose coverage not because their income has changed, but because of red tape of not getting a piece of paper in the mail or knowing that they were up for a renewal and needing to submit and return a form to the state.
Experts are concerned that potentially thousands, including children, are slipping through the cracks.
This is a really heavy lift. We see mistakes are made, families don't get the letter, they don't understand the letter, they have a hard time getting help.
Florida's Department of Children and Families says it has developed a robust outreach campaign, including up to 13 direct contact attempts to recipients who do not submit a timely application. While the state declined to comment on Penelope's case due to privacy concerns, a spokesperson maintained everyone that is removed from Medicaid receives a final notice informing them the reason for termination.
You see, Clyde?
After several weeks of calls and working with an advocacy group, they were finally able to get their daughter Penelope back on Medicaid, at least until the end of the review process.
Is that temporary relief? Do you fear that she could still lose her coverage in a year?
You are waiting for the other shoe to drop. I don't trust it. Because if this can happen, it can happen again.
Thanks to Rachel Scott.